Hello, friends. We are here for the daily transmission. It is Monday, April 3rd. Let's talk about the astrology of the moment. We are here live on Instagram. We are on Twitch. Maybe you are in the future and you're watching this on YouTube or maybe on Spotify, wherever you are. I hope you're having a beautiful day so far. On that note, I had a very interesting conversation with my 7-year-old this morning. She was tired and I do the work with her. And so we were doing some affirmations in the mirror this morning and, just affirming that she is going to have a great day. And as we were walking out the door, she was putting on her shoes. She asked me, so what would happen if we said the opposite? Like what would happen if someone looked in the mirror and said like that they're going to have a bad day, or someone said they're going to have a bad day? And I said, oh, people do that all the time. And the information around you, it is neutral. Everything that you see, everything in your everything around you, the only meaning that it has is the meaning that you give it. The only meaning that anything has is the meaning that you give it based on past experience or based on your current state. This cup has no meaning other than the fact that I know from previous experience that cups can hold things and it can hold liquid. And this has a handle, and I know I can hold that and that it'll hold the cup. I also know from experience that sometimes you hold the cup from this and it cracks right off, so you'll catch me usually holding my cup like this. That's based on past experiences. And that's me projecting my past experience of a broken mug onto this one. This mug is very sturdy. This has nothing to do with that mug. We do this all the time in various different ways. And so I am explaining this to my daughter. We're in the elevator, going downstairs, and I'm like, she's facing me, looking kind of, up at me just a little bit because she's not that much shorter than me now. And I'm like, so the floor doesn't exist to you right now because you're not looking at it. The wall behind you only exists right now because I am looking at it. The fact that it is being perceived is what makes it be there. So there's so much information going around you all the time. You can't give your attention to every single thing that is around you. And so your mind decides what is relevant and what isn't based on the current state, based on your current experience, your current moment, and things like what you have decided your day is going to be like. And so I tell her, someone could decide that they're going to have a bad day, and the same things that we see that tells us that we're having a good day tells them they're having a bad day. They will make it mean something negative because that's what they've decided. Like the sun is shining, the birds are singing, what a beautiful day. But to someone who's decided that they're going to have a bad day, this is, oh my God, the sun is unbearable. It is so hot outside. Can you believe it? The sun is shining at 7 a.m. What is this? The birds are singing. Can you shut them up? I'd really like some peace and quiet, right? It's just everything is a negative. And people like that. And maybe you've been in a mood like that too. I know that I certainly have. And so there is so much power in literally making the decision that you're going to choose to see things differently, that people are not in your way, that it is an opportunity to take it slow. I say this to myself in the car this morning, right? Because I get very irritated. And so anyway, I'm just fresh out of a weekend at YTT. This was not a weekend that I anticipated to be like super into because I'm taking like, I don't even know, like the collegiate level, like YTT 200 or something, because this is not just like a standard YTT. We've learned in-depth philosophy, which for me, a lot of that was review. It's great to get more perspectives and like more background on this specific thing. But this last weekend, we were talking about like mobility, and we had a chiropractor come in, but he's not just a chiropractor. He's like a functional medicine person or something. But anyway, so I was not thinking that I was going to be as like engaged or as excited this week, but man, was I lit up by so much of what was shared this weekend. I realize now, I know that some of the people who are here live right now on Instagram, at least I can't see where, if you're here watching this in the future, please leave me a comment. Let me know if this next thing is relevant to you as well. But I can see that there are people who have worked with me before or are working with me currently. Y'all, I've had a fucking light bulb breakthrough moment. I need everything, like pull over, stop what you're doing, put everything down, like fucking listen. And it's natural, I think, to do things backwards. We've been doing things backwards. At least I think I see the gap. Okay. Now this goes for any coach, right? There are people who like get what they need to out of the work, and then there are people who don't. That's not necessarily something that you have control over as a coach, but you can look at where the gaps are in the people who didn't get whatever it was and try to see if there's something that you can do or make simpler or like connect those dots, Now, you're not responsible for everyone's success and you're not responsible for them doing the work on their own. You can only, lead them to the water. You can't make them drink. Good. I'm glad that you've pulled over and that you're listening. I appreciate that, Nicole, because I need your attention for this. I mean, I feel like you get this a little bit. I was thinking about you a lot this weekend. I was thinking about a lot of y'all this weekend, but anyway, so much of the work that I do with people is all up here. Now, it's some of this, right? A lot of the work that I've done with people, it's on self-confidence or branding or putting themselves out there, relationships. A lot of it's to do with mindset stuff. A lot of it is to do with your thought patterns and the way that your thoughts affect your experience in the world, just like I was sharing a minute ago with my daughter. Okay. The root chakra, the Muladhara chakra, okay, so all of the chakras are ruled by different planets and has, planetary meaning as well, which, I'm like fully fucking nerding out here. Now, Muladhara has two rulers. The rulers are the Earth and Saturn. Now, Big Daddy Saturn is here to help with foundations, is here to help you create something strong and firm that you can build up from. And the Earth, of course, is all about being grounded. Now, I feel like I've been trying to teach you how to build a house from the top down. It's like we are like learning how to we're rebuilding your roof first. And this is not, I don't know, some people, maybe they have other practices. I'm not sure like how, where the lifestyle gap may be, like where but now I'm seeing how I can help people. Like this weekend, as I'm sitting here listening to him talk, thinking about our work together, thinking about astrology, thinking about the gene keys, especially because a lot of what we're talking about here, like it's all intertwined, because the gene keys are obviously a derivative of human design. Human design is a derivative of 5 languages, one of them being astrology, one of them being the Hindu Brahmin chakra system, and then one of them being the I Ching as well, right? And so all of these things come together, and it's like I can build you a holistic plan to like rebuild your house from the bottom, right, from the foundation up now. Because we have to get you into a space where you feel like it's actually safe for you to build your house. What did I write down? Yeah, rebuild your foundation of safety. I wrote this down as well this weekend, and anyone who is a client of mine definitely needs to hear this, but also just everybody. We cannot force change. We have to set up the circumstances and allow change to occur. which is what I'm trying to help you do. So much of what it is that I'm trying to help you do is just to create the circumstances for things to be different, for you to see things differently, for you to disrupt your thought patterns, your behavior patterns, so that you can open up new pathways. Now, something that I found incredibly interesting yesterday as we were going over the nervous systems. Okay. Listen, this one blew okay, because I've said, I work with people one-on-one most of the time. Most of my best success working with people is when we get to work together for at least 1 year. And I know that sounds like, what the fuck? That's a huge commitment, especially coaches. You're like, I just want 3 months, 6 months. It's because you want instantaneous results. Let me tell you what's actually happening. In the first 3 to 6 months, and we're talking about this in yoga, or we're talking about this in like a physical practice, but this applies to anything, any new muscle or anything new that you're doing. So whether this is a physical practice, whether this is a mental practice, you'll notice that on days where you do nothing but think and you're still like working mentally, that you're still exhausted at the end of the day. It's the same, like you're exhausted in a similar way that you would be if you did a lot of physical work. Your mind is still working. It still consumes calories. It is still something that can lead to exhaustion, right? And so I need you to understand that, like, when we're talking about change occurring, or we're talking about practice, or we're talking about neuroplasticity and like repatterning, doing this physically is the same. Like, I don't mean it just in like asana, like physical practice. I mean this like in your day-to-day life and creating change in any area of your life, whether that's in your relationships, in your finances, in your professional life, whatever. So the first 3 to 6 months of any new practice, and practice means something that you're going to do daily, a daily application. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're like 100% of your whole day is dedicated to this thing, or that it's all you're thinking about or doing, but it's that you have applied yourself in a meaningful way every single day. Okay. First 3 to 6 months of practice, any change that is occurring is only mental. Okay. Your nervous system is adapting and you are gaining confidence. You are learning, oh, I can change. Change doesn't have to be scary. It doesn't have to be painful, because the only reason that we associate pain with change, pain is an emotional experience. And the only reason that we are associating that is because we have before, just like the cup. The only reason that I hold it like this is because of the previous experience I've had with the handle cracking off and having hot tea all over me. And so I hold my cup like this because, oh, this keeps me safe. But this is just based on past experience. This is everything to do with how you live in your life. And so if I want to change the way that I hold this cup, this is a silly example, but you get what I'm saying. If I want to change my relationship to this, if I want to not be afraid of holding a hot cup, right, holding my handle, then I'm going to have to apply that every single day, do something a little bit different. And the strength in that, right, it doesn't come from necessarily like the actual like holding of the cup. It is the mental game of me reaffirming to myself every day, I'm making this change and it is safe. I'm making this change and I am safe. I'm repatterning my own nervous system so that I can relate to change and relate to the experience of the discomfort that we feel moving through change as not something that has to be painful, right? So it's only when we reach about 6 months that the muscle really starts to kick in and starts adapting. And so if we do go and apply this to like any kind of physical practice, you'll notice you feel in those first like 3 to 6 months, oh my gosh, I'm getting so strong. All you're doing is you're convincing your mind that you can do this. You're not actually getting any stronger, not really. Like you put on more weight or, you whatever, like, nope, it is literally all in your mind. And so once you hit that, you feel like you've hit this plateau, like, oh my gosh, like I used to, be able to do like more and more and more. And now this is all I can do because this is where the work begins. And so it is usually when I reach about 6 months of working with someone, if they've been applying themselves in the first 6 months and trying to see things differently, make changes, actually like do things not in the same way that they have before, that they start to actually see, oh, I feel like clearer, I feel stronger, I feel like I have more of an understanding of what it is that I'm here to do or what the next step is, or less of a need to know what the next step is. Because y'all, we spend so much time and energy trying to like project ourselves into the future. It is so silly. You're trying to control the future like you have any sort of control even over right now. You don't have control over right now. That's ridiculous. You don't have control over the future. You don't have control over right now. Your building could fall down on you and I could die right now. You could like witness that on Instagram. Wouldn't that be wild? Oh my God, that'd be terrible. I would hate that for you. But like it could happen. It's completely an illusion that we can control anything. And so trying to create all of these extensive plans and these, right, listen, you can know what you want. Don't try to figure it out. That's ridiculous. And this is coming from, this is my whole South Node. Y'all, if you're local, I would love to see you this Saturday. If you're not local, like that's fine and everything, obviously, like it's Florida. But I am giving a talk at the factory in St. Pete this weekend at Sacred Sessions 3.0, and I'm going to be talking about, it's called Why Are You the Way That You Are? I'm going to be talking about your South Node, your North Node, and your Chiron. My South Node is so like, this is the only reason that I'm so adamant about this right now, y'all, is because I spent way too much time and energy on this myself. South Node in Virgo, yikes, not yikes, but like strategy is a natural thing for me. I don't need to focus my energy there. And I've been trying to create strategies for y'all and do all kinds of things for y'all as if that's even the point. It is not. I need you to feel safe in the home that you have. I need you to feel ready to build something more. Because when you're safe in your home, when you're feeling secure, when you're in an area of contentment, when you are good with who you are today, I would say, especially when I was only working with people in business, like just business owners, like just people who were like trying to start a business. It's funny, I would say that probably when we got to like that halfway, not halfway, but usually about that, the work would begin to shift for like roughly a third, maybe half, maybe, right? I mean, maybe half is like a little more generous, but like, usually the people realize at that point, like, oh, it's not my vocation, it's not my job that I was actually like unsatisfied with, or that I needed to change. It was this other stuff. It was my relationship to my mind, my relationship to my past, my relationship to my identity, my relationship to how I express myself. And so when they learn how to express themselves and they learn how to be who they are in every area of their lives, and then that readjusts, then it's like, oh, I wasn't unhappy with this thing. I was placing emphasis on that area of my life because that's what I thought, right? Because capitalism tells you that purpose equals vocation. It is not. Okay. But they tell you that. And so when you're trying to self-actualize yourself through your career, a lot of people will come to me for that. And it's not because that's even what they wanted to do. It's because they're attracted to someone who has the energy of change and someone who makes bold changes look easy and look seamless. And it's not that it's necessarily easy or seamless. It's just that I lack attachment to who I was yesterday. If I feel like I am a new bitch today, I'm like, this is an integrity and something that I'm ready to like share with everybody, then I do it because YOLO, I guess. But truly, I'm like, so y'all, I'm building a retreat. I'm like building a whole experience. I think the retreat has to come. I'm trying to decide if it's like a 2-part thing, or like if it's like the climactic thing at the end, or if it's coming at the beginning. I don't know. I feel like it could stand on its own. This is why I'm not ready to present it yet, because it's not clear yet, but it's coming together. Because really what I want to do is help people. Like, I want to lead a group of people through, I mean, we're sort of doing this in our incubator, like virtually. But I want to lead a group of people through like their gene keys, but also like it's a yoga retreat, but it's like, I have a whole thing here. Because all of the different gene keys, and like everybody has a different, or not everybody has a different, there are 6 different things to focus on for your body, for being grounded. And what's really awesome about vinyasa, like the practice that I'm learning, right? Ashtanga Vinyasa Yoga, the physical practice, is that it actually like carries all of them, which I think is sort of fucking awesome. Like, all of these 6 like physical things that we want to focus on in order for us to achieve like physical grounding, for us to achieve core stability is what it's called in the gene keys, so that you're not someone that can be shaken off balance, and you have like a strong internal compass. You know what to focus on, you know what's not your fucking business. This practice, like, it has the medicine that every person needs, in a physical sense. And so I'm like absolutely like on fire, so excited, cannot wait to be able to incorporate this, because it's going to be this plus like also like acupressure, acupuncture, dance and mantra and sound therapy and all kinds of stuff. So like my brain is just like going a million miles a minute. I'm very excited about it. And yeah, I'm excited that y'all are here too. I just really hope that you hear me when I say that whatever changes it is that you would like to make, please stop putting the pressure on yourself for results of any kind to happen within the first 3 to 6 months. In the first 3 to 6 months, you're literally figuring out how to be a new person. You're literally figuring out how to think in a different way, how to see things differently, how to operate at a different frequency. And it's not a time to judge yourself. Please don't judge yourself. Judgment will only take you backwards. Observation and dedication. That's all it is. Which is where we get again back into like the 8 limbs of yoga. Before we even get to asana, we have the ethical observations, the yamas, and the self-commitments observations, the niyamas. And those incorporate a lot of the things that I feel like are prerequisites to like coaching or to whatever. As far as like, what does it take for you to like, what do you need to be ready to be coached or to make change, to do things differently? I don't necessarily think that all of them are like, you have to be perfect at all of them, right? Like perfect saucha, like perfect cleanliness. Like, I don't necessarily believe that, but I do believe that some of these things that are, encompassed in those 2, like lower end pillars of the 8 limbs, that they are very helpful when it comes to setting yourself up mentally and energetically to make change happen, because that's what happens at the third limb or the third line or the third fucking chakra. Y'all, I swear it is bananas. And that is the asana, that is the physical practice. So y'all, anyway, we have got a Virgo moon today. We've got a Libra full moon this week. I do want to make a super quick note. So Mercury entered Taurus today, or enters Taurus today. I am I don't know. I'm like, I guess whatever, that's what it is. Like, I can't change the astrology of the moment. If you want to follow along physically, like with your eyes on Twitch or on YouTube, or even on Spotify, if you're watching this in a replay, I'm going to have like the physical calendar up of my, this is from my digital astro calendar. I've got this for the whole year. By the way, if you want this, if you want the calendar, if you want like my astro predictions for the year, if you sign up on my Substack, you get access to that through the Podia stuff. It's all in there. $11 a month gets you access to this. So anyway, when we open this up, that'll tell you more about the astrology of the moment. It gives you places to journal. You want to think about where Taurus is in your chart. So Taurus, for me, this is my 12th house. Mercury is going to be transiting my Jupiter. Mercury in the 12th house. So interesting that I'm giving a talk next week with Mercury being in my 12th house. But if I think about this in other contexts, I've got a Pisces North node. The 12th house is representative of Pisces. I talk a lot about mindset, about the inner world, about the spiritual stuff. So this is kind of a good, transit for me to be experiencing while I'm going to be giving a talk. You want to look at wherever Taurus is in your chart to have some recognition of where Mercury is going to be transiting for the next few weeks. And actually, not just for the next few weeks, because we've got a retrograde. Mercury goes retrograde in a little over 2 weeks on the 21st. Do I tell you how long it is? Nope, we're gonna have to just move forward and look. Mercury direct. So it will be from, you want to like write this down, fam. The 21st, so April 21st until May 14th. So April 21st, May 14th, we are going to have, it's in your 12th house. It's in our 12th house. Hey, Gemini rising. So Mercury retrograde, this is our second one of the year. We've got Earth sign retrogrades this year. So later on, if you want to just like pin this in the back of your mind, if we're having Earth sign retrogrades this year, we had a Mercury retrograde in Capricorn to start the year. You remember that? Now we're about to have Mercury retrograde in Taurus. So the next one will be in Virgo. And that'll be later in the year. So we've got Mercury retrograde. Ew, okay. I didn't even think about this. Or no, I'm sorry, it's not retrograde yet. Well, that's great. That's good news. That's better news. So full moon in Libra. Okay, that is later this week. Libra is, I always like to point this out about Libra. I think it's such an interesting thing about the sign of Libra. It's the only sign in the system that is not represented by a living creature. Right? Every other sign is represented either by like a person or persons or some kind of creature, right? Like the crab of Cancer. Libra is represented by the scales of justice. Right. And that is not a creature, that is an impersonal, inanimate object. And I love to let that awareness sink in at the same time that you realize that Libra is the sign that rules your 7th house, or rules the 7th house. That is the 7th house of long-term partnerships, like marriage. When we look at relationships, people want to talk about like relationships or sex being in the 5th house. Sure. I call the 5th house your fun, friends, and flings house. 7th house is where you find marriage. That is long-term commitment. Libra is an inanimate object, an air sign. Okay. It's interested in peace, in harmony, in beauty, in loveliness. Okay. What is society like? Think about like some of the cliches or some of the things that are said about marriage. Okay. That it takes, compromise, that it's not all about the passion, not all about the romance, that romance alone, or passion alone is not enough for a marriage. The same could be said even for like business partnerships. Okay, the passion alone for what you do, that's not enough. We're going to need to have a similar vision. We're going to need to have the same core values. We're going to need to want to be traveling in the same direction together for an extended period of time. And to be able to do for one another. It's not that it's necessarily self-sacrificing, but it is the recognition that sometimes you're going to do things that aren't like 100% your favorite thing because it's the best thing for the other and for the relationship as a whole. But that it should be balanced, that you shouldn't be over giving any more than the other is. Okay. So when we have a full moon in Libra, think about the fact that we've got the sun in Aries. So that is the opposition. Okay. So the sun being in Aries, this is a very independent time. This is a very energetic time where, I mean, I don't want to say it's like a self-serving time, but like a little bit, because it's very much about like the I and the me and doing what I want to do. And so when we have the full moon in Libra, this is our opportunity. We are releasing, right? This is a point where all the lights are on, we're looking at everything and we're saying, okay, what is it that is still working here and what is no longer serving us? Okay. So as we move into the full moon in Libra, number one, where's Libra at in your chart? Oh my gosh, so funny that I would be sitting here talking about, you know, the 5th house, 7th house thing because Libra rules my 5th house. And so when it comes to this area of my life, when it comes to the, you know, axis of the 5th and the 11th house, what I want to do for me, what makes me feel good, what makes me feel excited, what lights me up versus giving to the collective, being part of the community. That's where I need to create more balance. This is my opportunity to say, okay, like a lot of the things that I do for fun also wind up being incorporated into like my social contribution. And is that what I want? What can I do to still like create more harmony in that area of my life or in those areas of my life so that I don't end up like martyred and like self-sacrificing and like making everything about my social contribution, right? Like I need to have more fun, which is super true. In fact, like private clients, for those of you who, or even incubator clients, for those of you who are waiting for an email from me to schedule your April sessions, hang tight. It's coming this afternoon because at 10:45, I'm hitting a second yoga class of the day so that I can go hang out with some of my YTT people. Just friends, being fucking social. Who is this? Y'all, if you think that, you know, I don't know. I mean, it's nice to hear from my YTT friends, you know, that who I am here is the same thing that they see when I'm there. Cause that's not always like, I've sort of worried that that's not the case, that I'm like more of a character, that I know how to like turn it on or like be performative for my business, you know, but that in real life, I'm like, oh my gosh, like everybody hates me. And I'm like, I am socially anxious. And that is a way, you know, I guess this is the circle back to the beginning of the conversation. We'll close from here because that was the way that I perceived myself for a long time, is that the only value that I have and the only way that I am acceptable to people is through my social contribution, through my business, through my vocation, through what I can produce, what I can do for you, what I can teach you. And I was worried for a long time that if that wasn't what I did, that I would be left alone, that I would be abandoned, and that I wouldn't, be received or be accepted. I worried that I wouldn't be able to make friends. So I'm just like, oh, I have social anxiety. I'm a weirdo. I don't know how to socialize. So that's just how it is. Who the fuck? And so because that is the way that I perceived myself, in the same way that if you decide you're going to have a bad day, the sun shining and the birds singing is going to be just like, ugh, gross, terrible. You know, I perceived that about the looks that I would get from people, or like the interactions I would have with people. I would micro analyze them and every single thing they would say to me. And oh my gosh, they hated me, and I every single thing I would say to them, I would sit here, and it's not to say that this is something that's totally gone, because you bet your sweet ass I have sat here and thought about like 2 or 3 different conversations like all day and night after YTT this weekend. But I'm not going to keep myself from socializing. I'm not going to keep myself from being in situations where I can connect with people and make real friends and have connections beyond just what I do for people. Because that's just because that's the way that I perceived things to be before doesn't mean that that's actually the way that things are, or that that's the way things have to be forever. I challenge you to take a good look at yourself, to take a look at the way that you see yourself and the way that you see the world around you, and ask, is there a way that I can see this differently? And if you feel like your core stability is off, if you feel anxious, if you feel shaken, if you feel like you don't know if you can stand up on your own 2 feet, please come talk to me. I don't even, just hang out, follow, like, go subscribe to the Substack, even if you're just subscribing for free. I have so much that I am percolating and filtering and getting ready to share with y'all. And I'm just so happy to get to be here and that you're here. What a world, what a reality to get to experience. Yeah, that's it for today. I love y'all. Happy Monday. Go do something to take care of yourself. It is Moon Day, the day of self-care, the day of nurturing. I like to think of this as the day that I set myself up for the rest of the week, right? Because this is the day that we are supposed to take care of whatever it is that we need in our home, or to self-nurture. Like, what do we need to be supported, fully supported, to get our shit done for the rest of the week? Because tomorrow is the day of Mars, and we know Mars don't fuck around. So I'll see you then at 9 a.m. for the next transmission. I love y'all so much, and I hope that you have the most beautiful day.